Welcome everyone to the June 2025 Houston Java User Group meeting sponsored by Improving. Thank you everyone for being here today. A little bit about Improving. Improving is has user group space available, and we want to support you. So if you have an idea for a user group, let us know, and we're happy to provide you space and some food as well to host your meeting. We have a number of user groups that we sponsor currently: Free Code Camp, .NET User Group, Side Project Society, Houston Product Community, Houston Java User Group, among others. So we do have a full calendar available on Improving. You'll need to go to the Houston location site to see what's going on. But we do have quite a list of events that are all very interesting and compelling. We're currently hiring. If you are a senior business development manager, if you are if you want to be an account executive, we're also looking for senior .NET developers, senior Java developers, senior DevOps engineers, and Agile coaches. So we do hire all those folks here at Improving, and I really enjoy working. I've been here almost 5 years now, and I couldn't say it's hard to say a bad thing about this place. And if you're looking to jumpstart your agility journey, Improving is the largest Scrum.org provider in North America, and so we offer professional Scrum Master, professional Product Owner certification courses, and as well as several others, including Scrum for Developers. And we also offer in-person remote offerings for both Scrum.org training and for ProKanban.org if you want to learn more about Kanban. And then we'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. If you could all please take a moment to sign in, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And then door prize QR code, I will let Scott share that one. So, all right, that's it.
Okay. Let me share my screen.
Thanks, Scott.
So there's our QR code for the door prizes. If you, we have, never remember. So we have a JetBrains license, basically a 1-year license to any product JetBrains sells. Well, almost any product. 1-year license to SonarGraph from Hello Tomorrow, which is a tool that helps you to basically map out all your product, your classes in your project, and get it more organized. And then a 1 month, or I guess a 1 course Webucator license.
Yep.
So yep. So go ahead and you can
put in your information.
Yeah, put in your information there, and at the end of the session, I will go ahead and we'll select out the winners of those amazing prizes. And so for our first session, we'll have Bruno Rozendo, who's going to introduce us to, if we haven't met it before, or reintroduce us to Spock as a very helpful testing tool. So Bruno, you have the floor. Have fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bruno. Uh-oh, you're muted.
We cannot hear
you.
My bad.
There
Sorry. So let me do better. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing this glorious day? It's better now?
Howdy.
So just a quick mention. I also went to these wonderful prizes. I scanned the QR code, and looks like it's not public at the form. I need to request to access the form. So I don't know if it is the way you intended. So
okay, I'll fix that. Don't you worry.
Okay, so just to guys know it.
Just play it again at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me share my screen and sure, let's hide my face. And I don't know because I'm not on the side with you guys, gentlemen, but is anyone ever heard about Spock Framework?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, heard of it. Not used
Okay,
it.
okay, so that's good. So that's good. Anyone ever used Spock Framework?
Played with it. Not in production.
Okay, so you may, by the title, you may already know what is my position on this. I do believe Spock Framework is a very good tool, and in several ways is superior to JUnit. But it is by the context, depends on the project, but you guys gonna see what my point it is on this one. So let me go here. So I do believe the Spock at least 3 times a winner. So first of all, it's a testing. Any project who has testing, it's already on the head. So I work on a lot of projects that don't have unit testing. It is difficult to maintain it. So by only having this, it's already a winner. The second thing, it's very important thing for at least for me, it's very easy to read. So you're gonna see the samples I brought. And the third thing I will not mention here, but also very interesting to know. So I took this quote from Maven because I think it's resonate with my opinion. So let me express this. Maven takes a opinionated approach on the project layout. So that's good. Everyone who uses Maven or even Gradle pretty much has the same layout project, and it works. When we talk about the JUnit framework, the JUnit tool, I feel the same way, but a little bit different because the JUnit itself, it's very, it's not it do not impose you how you should do it. So if you want to do a way, you can do it. If you want to do it differently, you can also do the way you want it. And sometimes you just want to do. I don't care about the structure, the way, and that's something as well as I find annoying about this. So you're gonna see my point in a little bit further. So when you talk about the unit itself, usually you have the unit, you also have Mockito, and probably you may have Hamcrast and something you can read the report, read the testing. So that's the point. That's usually the scenario. Let's see but I thought if I should be writing some testing with you guys, but I think the probably scenario will be if someone decides to take a look on this, go to the documentation. So I'm gonna do that. So if I go to Spock Framework itself, it's very easy. And there is this option of single page. And that's it. That's the documentation. It's relatively short, but there is a lot of stuff here. So I will not go through all the documentation. There are some points I would like to emphasize, so that's gonna do it. So first of all, Spock itself is written in Groovy. It's not Java itself. And there is a decision behind of that. And I'm not going too deep on this one. I would just want to share the syntax difference between Java itself and Groovy. You can write a Java file, put inside a Groovy file, and will compile. So Groovy has this compatibility with Java, so that should work. I did not try the latest versions of Java, but there is a compatibility layer on there. So, so you can see that is pretty much what we expect of our testing. So that is what runs before or after. And here is probably one of the key points about Spock Framework is that grooves allow to have a string as a method name. That alone provides you a very easy to understand. So if you run the testing, it's not a snake case very long name. So it's very much more easy to read on this case. So that's, for me, it's a selling point. So that's already a winner. So let's continue a little bit. And most of the unit testing will follow this particular structure. You will set up an initial context, you will execute something, and will check the values if it is what we're expecting or not. So that's the most common case scenario. If I go down a little bit, now you can see a little bit more of testing. So you have all the mocking in the beginning and the validation in the bottom. Now you can see something slightly different on our testing, which is 1 star. What this line is saying is this. I want to validate, or probably do the assertion that the method receive was executed 1 single time with the parameter event. The same thing from below. The method receive from subscriber 2 was executed 1 single time with this parameter. So that's what's happening here. So in JUnit, you're probably gonna have a assertion here, or assertion equals, in this case was verify something executed. So that's how you do it on Spock. And these particular labels are syntax. So if you miss, for example, if you remove the given, it may work, but if you remove the then or when, it will have an issue on compilation error. So there is some extra labels you can use. For example, expect. There are some cases for this one. I'm going to show you a little bit. And this is some other syntax for Groovy. I will not talk this about now. And let me go. So another thing that's very good, that these particular labels, you can have strings on them. So it can have even more descriptions when you do the testing. So that's, you can literally read the test. It will be more easy to understand. I'm not seeing you guys. I don't know if there is any hand or questions. Scott, if there is any question, please interrupt me and okay?
I've got one.
We have a question.
Okay.
You scroll back up, please, to where you have given a open a database connection. Can you take that given a open a database connection and make it be its own method, where you just say in the file, it's already predefined somewhere else, reusable code, and then you just say given open up database connection, and it will just be the same boilerplate you can use over and over again without repeating yourself in each of the tests?
Yes, you can also have this pretty much as you already have on JUnit. You have these scenarios.
Not as a spec. Not as a spec.
sorry, so I didn't understand exactly. So you want to open a connection, you keep the same connection between all the testing in the single file.
Maybe, but maybe not. So let's say 3 tests, you open the connection, but 4th test you don't. But you don't want to just
It's
use
probably keeping different files. It's more realistically keeping different files, because if you try to, you can reorder the execution, but I think it's more realistically speaking, if you just the test you want, put in a different file.
Okay.
You could do it differently. It's not a understand this, but that's probably the way I do it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So another case, very interesting one, is this one. Sometimes when you do the testing, you have the same method being called multiple times with different values to check if all the cases inside the method was correctly executed. So you kind of have this almost table. So let's call a table. So we will also have this scenario. So there is this very handy syntax that you just, okay, I will execute these. These are my input, and this is my expected output. So you can see here all the parameters. So that's very handy. So when you run this test, it will show at least 3 times the same test with different values. So that's another thing we can do it. And there are some.
I have a question.
We have another
Yep,
question.
yep.
For the values in that table, does that have to be static, or you can also have like a function called it?
So sorry, I didn't understand. So you
So
call
the,
a
yeah, those
function
values,
where?
like 1, 3, 3, those values, do they have to be static, or they can be an expression or a function call?
You can call functions here. You can call.
Okay,
You can call.
great, thanks.
I think that is a sample in the documentation showing a call. I don't remember exactly where, but I think that is. This is the output showing that passed, failed, and so on. Let me go a little bit further. That is also lots of things you can do here, but that's not interesting at the moment. And I think I need to talk about the mocking object. So in the slide, I show you need probably Mockito, maybe Humcrest. All these utilities, they are already inside Spock Framework. So you do not need an extra library to do mocking or stubbing or spies. So it is already there. And one of the things about this is that I need to explain probably the most gimmick about these mocking objects. So let me ask this for not work. So that this is probably the most pitfall you can find on Spock Framework. So this is the case. I want to do a mock of a object and say, oh, this is return a string, and that's the returning. This structure, which makes sense in my mind, does not work. And does not work because there is a technical, it's a technical problem here. The returning of the mock, which is this arrow, double arrow, okay, that should be within the cardinal validation. So actually what should happen is this line. So although you have the given block, and you should put all the mock in the given block, when you do this validation if the method was called or not, then if you do also doing mock on this case, then you should put everything in a single line or in the single statement, to be more precise. So if you try to put this, it will not work. But if you take this line, you put, delete this one, you put here, it will work. I have the code. I will show this code working a little bit further. But so this is probably the most, I won't say annoying thing, but the most pitfall you can have here. So yep, so that is disturbing. And yeah, I think about the document, oh, no, there is something extra here. Very important, very important. So let me show you. This is the cardinality. So all the possibilities, what you can do, if it is the method was called or not. So that is the description of these cases. And also I would like to show you this. This is probably one of the best things you can have on Spock. The validation of the parameters sent to a method. So for example, in this case, the validation, the assertion is it was passed a string equals to hello. In this case, because we have the exclamation signal, it is not, everything else is valid. This hello string is not a valid one. So you also have this case which is including null, anything which it is a instance of string, or you can also check with another method here. In the Spock, let me correct, Groove itself, they also have what you can compare as a lambda. So in Spock, you call it closure. So these parentheses, these braces here, they are a closure. And by default in Groovy, when you have a parameter, you not define the parameter. By default, the name is it. So the it is a default variable on the closure. And you can see here in this case, I do have an extra validation on the parameter, which this case is that trying to see if it is a list who has more than 3 items and contains the letter A. So that's very powerful. You could do that in JUnit, but it is more verbose. You can do very easily to do this within Spock. So I think that's the most important thing about the documentation I would like to show. Now, let me get some code. So first of all, I created a very easy project, very crude, so you can see it. The first thing it is, how do I set up Spock? So to set up is very easier. Just if you are using Gradle, just add the Groovy plugin and add some of the libraries. So you can see this one is just to get all the versions, and only I need is Spock core. And because this project has Spring, I also using this utility called Spock -Spring, which is pretty much to facilitate to get the mocks inside Spring. It is possible to use.
Bruno, can you increase the font size on that a little bit?
Sure, definitely. So let me put at least, I don't know, 26, maybe.
That's
It's better now?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions at this point?
No, we're good.
Nope. Okay, so you can see this pretty much. This is pretty much a facilitator for this. And I also have this extra library. I'm gonna talk about this in a moment. And if you have, if I'm using Maven, it's pretty much the same, but you need to use a plugin called gmaven first. So using this plugin, after that, you also need to add the libraries. So Spock Score, so Groovy language, and yeah, that's pretty much straightforward. There is no extra configuration. That's it. It's just add the libraries, add some extra parameter for the Maven and Gradle, and it works. So now, let me show you some testing for this very basic project. So let me show here a servers. So this particular project here is using Spring Boot. And I need to do this, I think I need to explain that. Spock with Spring works very, very well. Very good. However, if I try to use Spock with Quarkus, so that's be a problem, because currently, if we try to use Spock with Quarkus, it will not work. I have tried. I went to the Quarkus Club group, post there. Some people try to help, but it's not working. However, it is possible to use. When I say it's not working, for example, in this case, I have this test, which it is, it will run an instance of, for example, a database connection with Spring, with load a user repository, and I will do the testing, what I need. If I try to get the same test as this on Quarkus, it will not work, because the Spock framework will not be able to launch the dependency, the bootstrap, whatever it is, from Quarkus. So you can, let me have here. So this is a test Quarkus project. So if you can use Spock on Quarkus, but you will only be able to test pure Java code without any extra annotation from Quarkus. So if you are trying to test some class, you do the injection on the constructor, you have all the dependencies there, then you can do it. So for example, here, this is a project using Quarkus, and I'm doing a test in a Java file, but I'm not using any Quarkus annotation. If I try to use Quarkus annotation, then it will fail. It is possible to use Spock with JUnit. The both can run together. So if you want to run Quarkus and want to run Spock, you probably gonna have JUnit and Spock in the same project. It works. I tested. So let me come back to this particular. And you can see here. Earlier, I mentioned my my issue with JUnit, because the report on JUnit is not that great. That's it. So if I run this test right now in Gradle, what I will get is a file like this. So this is what I got. That's it. Could I have, if I run the same project with Maven, I can get something similar to this. But I also need to add an extra library. So this is from Maven. So this is pretty much the same. The only extra difference is that for Maven, I need to add the, what's the name of the dependency? Is report. I need to add Maven Sophia report plugin. So then with that, I can have this report. However, that's the very interesting part, which is make Spock even better. What's that dependency I showed earlier? Spock report. Because what it does, it's add a extra report, not necessary, but a different report. So this is even better. So let me show you. So now the same project have this. So now all the strings we put on the test, you can see here. So that's, for me, is the best thing you can have on unit test with Spock. I can take this, I can show to my colleague who is also a Java developer, or anyone. The person is going to understand what's happening on the code. I can also show this for my PO of my stakeholders, whatever he is, and the person will gonna understand what's happening. So that's the most beautiful thing about Spock, because this is make more accessible. And again, this is just unit testing. I will do unit test regardless with JUnit or not. But with that, I'm still writing the same testing, and now I have this beautiful report.
Can you get that report in Gradle?
This isn't. This is from the Gradle. Sorry. Do you want to see the report?
Can you get the report with the given when and then from Gradle build or run?
No, this is the report from Gradle itself. This is the uses server system. So this is. I don't know. I never tried to change the Gradle report itself, the engine, so it can. Yeah, I never tried like that. But however, this is a very basic project. I decided to get a more complex one. So let's see whose looks like. So I have another project I create for this presentation, which is, let me show you guys what this does. So this project here is a functionality inside a financial institution. Let's say you have someone is offering you a credit card. So this credit card usually has some limit attached. So that means the value there, the financial institution took your social number, go around asking, trying to figure out if it was safe to lend you money. If it is, then he give you a higher limit, if not a lower limit. So this project here is doing this particular functionality. So you send your information, your address, the type of credit card you wanted, and gonna do all these kind of things here. And in the end, we'll send you a status to see if they're gonna send you a credit card or not. So this is not trivial one. This is what company actually do, because I already work in a company which did that. So, okay, but in that case, it was in a very large scale. And now I can show you how the test is easy. how the test is here. So let me get the servers, for example, which is probably this one. So now you have a better idea how to work. So for example, the gimmick I mentioned, what's happening here. So although I was expecting to mock this on the given block, the mock itself is happening in the then block. So you can see here what's happening. So that's the case. I have here, let me take my notes on the side. So let's take another one. So for example, these ones using Spring, it's loading a connection on the database. You can see here. So for example, here you can, this is a mock MVC request. So you're gonna probably do that. And let me get here. So, nice, nice. Just a second, any questions?
Crazy question. Does Spock support testng or mock?
Sorry,
Will Spock only work with JUnit or will it work with other testing and mocking frameworks?
Good question.
Mock is kind of has its own mocking mechanism.
Sorry,
you don't need any other mocking frameworks when you use Spock.
Yeah, you don't.
It has its own mocking framework.
Yeah. So let me get some sample
But
here.
but the other question Dan had was, can you
Run.
can you have a testng runner run Spock tests?
Good question. I never tried testng with Spock itself. That's something I should do. I should do to validate if it is possible or not. Yeah, let me mock. So let me. I don't have here and on any of this. Yeah, I think I don't have it here. The creation, yeah, so let's continue here. I was showing this. Let me get another sample, which I find interesting. Which is already this one. Let me get the next one.
It looks like there's a it looks like it does work with testng.
It works. I do.
Yeah. Found the blog post.
Oh, okay, got it.
Hope is right. Looks like it is though.
I do have here another sample. And now let me show the report from this project itself. So let me get here. Copy. So this one I let some breaking tests so I could show you guys how it is. So let me get some here. So for example, this is this is how it look like when you fail the testing. So you can see here that should have reasonable balance or limit to ratios. However, there is a each, so that means it's a list, and I can see the list was empty. The fail because the list was empty. So let me get another test. Oh, this is the same. Let me get these. Oh, this is very interesting. That's a case I would like to show. So for example, in this case, the result expected was the HTTP was expected to have 400 HTTP status. And unfortunately was 200. Who would have thought? And now I would like to show pretty much the same project, but with the testing using JUnit. So I did not migrate all the testing, some tests. So for example, this case, this is how, can I break the line? So this is the result, this is the output from a JUnit test. This is the output of a Spock test. So both are telling me the same things. The HTTP status was something, it was expected something else. And I ask you guys, what you think is more easy to read? Let me put it this way. Let you guys decide. I have my opinion, but I would like to ask you guys your opinion about this. Can I put side by side? Yay. So this is what it looks like. Because I'm talking about Spock, I'll be very opinionated on this one. So I do prefer Spock because I think it's a little bit more convenient to see what's happening. So it was the status. If I want to see this on the JUnit, so that's one of my issues. For example, I can see here the message, but if I want to identify where it was here, Spock is not better on this point. So just to know it. So I can see the here, but the line I want is there. So it's not that different on this one. So you guys can see this. Let me go back. Let me go back my notes. Get this one. Is this one? Nope. And let's continue. Any questions here? No? Okay. Let me show a extra thing you can also do it. I will not try to run this. I'll come back to the test string. Something you can do it is this. You can, oh, it's not the here. So probably, yeah, it's here. Because the report created by Spock, the Spock report, what you could do is create a different output for this one. So for example, let's rename this file. And inside here, I have some extra information. So now what's happening is this. I will create all the Spock reports, but previously, this is a HTML file. You can open the browser. Now I'm changing the extension to Markdown. I also have to specify some templates here. And if I run this build again, it takes some time to do all the testing. What I'm expecting here is that all my file was previous HTML file gonna be now Markdown files. Still running. Um, Stuck. Oh, I remember. There is some timeouts on this test. Oh, okay, but there is at least one here, so I can show. So now the previous was HTML file, and now I can have here a markdown file showing the same test. So, and why I'm showing this? Because the third point I point out in the beginning is this. Now AI becomes everything basically. So what you could do is this. Because now you can take the report, take the output of your unit testing, create a custom file for that. You could give these files to a AI, a LLM model, and ask them about your project. So let's say if I give all these files to a LLM model and ask the LLM model to, can I, for example, can I do a loan? So let me see if I can do this very quickly. Request a loan. What I just, let me show you here, also here. So to validate this idea, I create myself a MCP client or MCP, MCP host or / client. Just a question, have you guys are working with AI or MCP or anything related with this?
Familiar with it, we know of it, but not working with it.
Not in production, no.
No.
No. But did you already create something with that? Only for yourself, at least?
Yeah, a little toy to see how it works.
Yeah. So, so what I create here is this. I use the MCP protocol to connect with a local LLM, which is Olama, which is just fail. Yay, my LLM failed. So probably some of my configurations. So pretty much I create some extra MCP servers. So for example, I have here, everything I created was in Java. So I created a Java project, which implements the MCP server. And this one read and write files. I have another project, which also implements the MCP server, which execute Gradle builds, Gradle tasks. And the third one, which is to execute any command in a given folder. So I create these projects and I also create this MCP client so I can use it, but it does not make sense because now my LLM failed and I don't know why. So, but I already tested this before. I put all these files, the markdown files, and in an LLM and ask them, can you, for example, this one is about requesting a credit card for a financial institution. So the question was, can I ask for a loan? Read all my files, my unit test files, and answer me, can I request a loan? And the answer was no. This service you have is about credit cards, not for loan. And yeah, that's what I would like to share with you guys. I think I show a lot of interesting things. Let's come back here. Just to wrap everything. So Spock is work very, very well with BDD, with behavior driving design. So behavior testing, you can using very, very well because you have these labels, the given, when, then, which make the reading the code very, very easy. So about testing, so pretty much everyone already know about this. So the unit test is the very basic, which you have a lot of them. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I currently work in a project who has 2,834 unit testing outside, not counting the functional testing. So that's how much testing I have been in the project I'm working with. So that's I have a little my issues with JUnit because it become a day-to-day task, day-to-day things we could do better. And yeah, so now you can know my name. So my name is Bruno Rozendo. This is my LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me, feel free. I also on the Discord. I usually on the Java user group. So you can also find me there. And yeah, thank you very much. So in my clock, I made in 44 minutes, Scott.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
So our next speaker is going to be Bhupendra Mishra, who is going to speak to us on the topic of, oh gosh, what happened?
Snapshot and the contract testing.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruno.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay, so let me share my screen. And everyone must be thinking that what is it about testing that two speakers are talking about testing today?
But
And
it's
nothing else.
cool.
And I guess I'm going to maybe use some words which Bruno may not like, that hey, unit testing is enough. How can you say that it's not enough? So I like to start with one of my story, and yes, it's not a made up story, it's my real life story. So during like just before last couple of days before Christmas, I got pulled into a production incident, and we learned that Roku clients, so Roku Sirius XM clients, they are crashing right on the start. And we were quite sure that we did not made any change. So how is that possible that something is crashing on a Roku? After spending significant amount of time, we learned that the change I made for Android and iOS client, a small config change. It was not really a big change. So what really client does is they, as soon as they start, they call a server to get a configuration of various URLs and the endpoints, CDN, as you know of it, and other various things which they need to work efficiently. And I added a new parameter, and assuming that it's just a JSON, and client should be able to use a key value pair, so they should be able to add new value, and even though they don't need it, they should be fine. But I was wrong. So that obviously caused the problem. So we reverted the change. Obviously, we went ahead and fixed the problem and deployed the change. That made me think, how I could have done better, because this is the time when the contract between client and the server was tightly coupled, and it cannot be changed without making a change in the client. So that's when I started to explore more, and I learned about the snapshot and the contract testing. And that's what we are going to talk about. And I'm pretty sure this story will resonate with more or less everyone who has worked on the production systems. And I like to say Java being one of the oldest language, or at least the systems are still available, which might be running Java 1.6, 1.7. They are from last 15, 20 years of code and still running efficiently. They are making money for the companies. So companies are not willing to take risks to retire them without getting enough confidence. And that's where snapshot and contract testing comes in picture. So let's get started. Why is not okay? Come on. Why I'm not seeing? I don't want you to hear. Okay. So yeah, a classic dilemma. Refactor or adding feature can break things. So anytime we are adding a change or making a adding a new feature or making a change in a existing bug, even let's say refactoring a code, because sometimes over period code gets messy. And we need to clean up. We need to refactor, and that's when we need to get more confidence. I have seen code bases where the unit tests are there, but they are not sufficient. They are only touching the surface. They may be covering, let's say, 5%, 10%, 20% of the methods, and nothing more than that. So how do we gain the confidence that whatever change I'm making, whether it is refactoring, adding a new feature, or fixing a bug, is not going to cause behavior change? And that's why I say that unit tests are not sufficient, because they do test the intent of that one method, but they don't go beyond that. And that's where we need to, but sometimes the changes can percolate from one place to another without us knowing unintentionally. Uh, Another, I'll say, simplest example from my latest experience. We wanted to remove some cookies, and that was a common API. So thought, okay, let's make change into this common API so all the cookies can be cleared in a standard fashion. But guess what? There was another system in the middle who said that, hey, you cannot remove that cookie because I'm still using it. So good thing we learned early, and due to the fact that when we were doing the snapshot testing and we were checking some of the contracts, it was caught early on. So these kind of the cases when unit test will work fine, integration for the system itself will behave correctly. But when we want to go beyond that, that's where we are in a tough spot. Now, why it is worse in Java? Obviously, I don't know how many of you have worked in an old code basis, but I have seen code Java 1.6, which was almost 20 years of code, 20 years old code, and written for the Nokia, or prior to that, Lucent Bell Labs management system, and that was still running. And it is running in the most of the telecom operators servers to build the optical network in their end. And so that's why even for the bank, I have seen that we have two parallel code bases, one old one which is still being used, and the new one which is actively being developed. But it's not faster that, okay, we can just finish it in a 6 months, a year, or 2 year, because these systems have a history behind it. There is so much buried business logic that we cannot just rewrite overnight. And I've seen people trying to come as a warrior that, hey, we will rewrite this app in whatever XYZ time frame. And I wouldn't say they failed badly, but yeah, they did not achieve success. And it ended up that we have two code bases running in parallel. So these things do exist. And obviously, over the period when systems are developed, there could be a strict contact contracts between these components. Multiple microservices may be relying on the systems. Even sometimes QEs, quality engineers, or other teams may be relying on the log statements that, hey, they expect that log statement to check something. I've seen data engineering team using these extra keys or extra values to determine that what data is flowing in and if they are missing something. So there are a lot of things which gets built, which are built over the time, and it's hard to just make changes. I suppose everyone is nodding, saying, "Yep, we have been there, seen that."
Oh, yes. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Should have been shot a long time ago.
Immortal, you can't kill it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, typically what we do, obviously the first thing we do is a unit test. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we should not be writing unit tests. Yes, they are phenomenal. I've not done much of a TDD, but I'm a big fan of unit tests. I always try to write unit tests for that functional change which I'm making, the small unit or what the method, so that can be tested with the what input we are giving, what output we are passing. And obviously it depending on the project, it does rely on lot of mocking. So that is the first let's say challenge comes in, that as we start mocking things on a granular level, it becomes challenging to figure out what the real state of the system will be than what we are passing. Because when we are mocking, and especially as a developer, we tend to have a bias that we will either typically look into the most basic positive cases, that hey, when we expect it to work, and then couple of most basic, let's say negative cases, or where we expect that it to fail. But the problem lies in between, that there are sometimes the state of the system does not fall into those few use cases, and that's when we see the problems. Then second type of testing is typically we do is integration testing. So integration testing is pretty good because we have a client where we are able to do end-to-end testing for the feature, for the use case, and it works fine. But the challenge with the integration testing could be that depending on the system and the setup, we may need to run the whole system and do the testing against it. So given that Docker is there, Spring also allows to do to just run and start the, let's say, even the DB server or the application server or any other microservice. So between all those tools, integration testing has gone better, but there are times when that could slow us down. So that's where I think the new ways of testing can help us move faster. And obviously these are fragile when if there's any change in the output, and identifying that what exactly has changed between the methods could be tricky. And my favorite one is, yeah, having that confidence when we are doing a major refactoring or major change. So whenever there is a significant surgery we do with the code base, it takes a toll to get that confidence. Sometimes we will keep it running into the test environment or int environment for longer than we expect it to, because we want to make sure that nothing is breaking. But again, nothing compares to the prod, because production environment is the one where we really see the impact of the changes, because that's where the actual load is. So that's where I like to bring this snapshot and the contract testing. So these are the two amazing tools which I like to say. They offer, they can help with the regressions with the least amount of boilerplate code. It's easier to verify the shape and the response of the various APIs. It's easier to verify the contract with the contract testing, how it exists, and it allows us to do safer refactoring and the faster feedback loop. Uh, so the difference between the snapshot and the contract testing is they may look somewhat similar, that we are verifying what is being passed down to a client, but snapshot actually compares the actual response, what will go to the client, including the exact JSON, versus contract testing is a more of a API contract. So if it is a, let's say, JSON response or the XML response, we can just define that, hey, this is the type as we define in the XSD file, let's say. And then based on that, it will try to match. It won't expect the exact response, but yeah, it will match the exact contract, that how what is the actual agreement between those two services or client and the server. Yeah. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Okay, so let's keep going. So now, what is a snapshot testing? So what a snapshot testing does is that it captures the current output of a API response. It could be intended for a UI, it could be intended for a mobile client, or it could be for other microservice. And it stores it as a snapshot. And every time we make a change, we run it, and then at that time we can compare it, that okay, or it automatically actually compares it for us. So it compares against the save version, what we call the snapshot, and if there is any change, then it shows in the diff window. So how it helps is, so for example, let's say the JSON is intended for a web page, and we change the button title from submit to enter, or submit here, or rather than just email, we wanted to say enter email. So it is a minor change, but how it impacts is, let's say the text got somewhat bigger, rather than saying enter your email, it may not fit into one line of that client device. So it may fit in, it may go to the next line. Now, is that product wanted in that way? If the, or will the client be able to handle? Because if they have button on a fixed width, it may chop off the top and bottom, or even the sides of the text. So we need to make sure that although the change is a minimal, it looks harmless, but it could have a significant impact on the user interface. So
I have a question.
uh-huh.
Okay. Usually products have a or Swagger or
Mhm,
Open API.
mhm,
It is possible to repurpose the JSON file from there to use the base for the contract.
yeah,
It's possible.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So yeah. So, so when we do snapshot testing, it will show us the difference, that, okay, now this text has changed from X to Y. Now it was intended. Definitely, we can just say update the snapshot, and it will update the, it's a snapshot copy. But if that change was unintended, we did not mean to make that change, for let's say that client or that API, then we know that okay, some there has been some inadvertent change which went through, and that's why this snapshot has been changed. So we can go ahead and fix the code or fix the snapshot depending on whichever was happening. So what it does is, right, it helps us detect these unintended changes quickly. And then it will help us verify these large complex objects in a faster manner, because if you have let's say JSON file which is, let's say, 500 lines of 500 lines with a formatted file, and if you want to see with the old version manually, it's going to be impossible. So in this case, it will just show you that, hey, these are the changes, whether minor or major, and then you go ahead and look into the changes and make the decision what we want to do on that. Then it is also help us making code changes faster, because obviously we have once we integrate these tools into our CI pipeline, that will help us that okay, we can quickly make the change, and our build process will run it, make sure we test it will give us the confidence that okay, there's no change in the response, and we can move faster. So the most common, I'll say, snapshot testing tools are JSONAssert for API responses, approval tests for the object structures, and yeah. So and they store a snapshot in the version control. So yes, that's another important aspect. We can't ignore these files which gets generated by a snapshot tool, because if we want it to be part of the build CI pipeline, and also make sure that other engineer we can share with the team, then we have to store these snapshots in the along with the code base. So what that means is you will be adding these additional files which are more or less mock responses, and then any engineer who is making change, they will be able to see the difference in the diff in the real time if they make a breaking change. Now the next thing is the contract testing. So contract testing is more or less similar thing, but it is focused on a format, or the as the word says, a contract between the consumer and the provider. Now the consumer could be again a client, and the provider could be a server, or it could be two different microservices which are talking to each other to get some data. So let's say in our world, we have to get some catalog data for an album from a metadata service. Now, if I have to go and get the catalog data, I have to call with that album ID, and I need to get the catalog. So now in the catalog, if I expect only to provide the name and the image URL and the description and the name of let's say a singer or the composer, then that's what I expect. If metadata team learns tomorrow that, hey, I also have information available about year released and I want to include it, but I don't need it, so don't pass it. But even if they make that change thinking that anyone who wants to use, because yes, there could be 5 different services requesting the same catalog data, and we don't want to write 5 different kind of responses. So we may have one set of response, and that's where the contracts come in. Either they have to create the APIs with a new version, so that will give this additional information, or the provider or the consumer have to make change into their handling of that response. Whether they need it or not, they have to be able to accept it and move on. They should not break it. So obviously, the basic intent is that it provides, it makes sure that the provider hasn't broken the contract. It is not passing anything which is not expected by the consumer. And obviously, it helps reduce these integration bugs between services. So in this way, we can just focus mainly on let's say we can focus on mm, making the changes once we have these two frameworks in place, and those changes will help us efficiently implement the new feature or refactor the code. And there are two main tools I will say are used for the contract testing. One of them is a Spring Cloud contract, and another one is a Pact. So the difference between the Spring Cloud contract and the Pact is Spring Cloud is obviously provided by the Spring framework. So if your application is in the uh, Spring ecosystem, it's easier because it also stores the contract between consumer and provider, and it stores contracts in the artifact repository itself. So in that way, you don't need a separate server. Versus on the with the Pact, we'll need a different Pact server where we can store these contracts. And obviously, the good part with the Pact is in that case, it works across multiple languages, so it can support cross language or cross yeah, technology responses. So that becomes easier with the Pact. And Spring Cloud is pretty straightforward to integrate with the internal microservices, and it can just help us test these services faster. So, the most important thing to focus on is how they help us in the real world. So, at any given time, we know that there is not going to be just one or two engineer working on a big systems. There is going to be a whole team. So let's say if the team is consists of 10, 15 developers, it's hard to keep track what change one person is making and how it's going to impact the other part. So this helps this is makes collaboration easier. This makes testing and I'll say even breaking and fixing things faster, because even if you break it, we know that there are tools, there are test cases, and the frameworks are in place which will prevent us pushing that change into the production. So that's why this provides a fast feedback loop if there are any contract violation. And then similarly, uh, refactoring becomes easier without breaking any consumer, because we know that these are the tightly coupled or loosely coupled contracts, whichever are available with the set of clients or the set of services which your application is interacting with, and that will be tested as a part of this framework. So uh, again, so some of the key best practices which we need to follow is first of all, yeah, reviewing snapshot with the PR. And most of the time I've seen with the PR, and I guess it is a somewhat known fact that if the change is small, we tend to look into very closely, but change is big, we will just say, okay, looks good to me, LGTM, and we approve the PR. But that's where we need to make sure that whenever we are approving a PR, because snapshots and the code changes, they should be ideally they should be part of the same PR. They shouldn't be different PRs. So if they are part of the same PR, take a look into them. Are they going to cause any problem with any client? Are these changes unexpected? in any of the, let's say, the snapshot test we have. And if everything is expected, then obviously approve it, merge it, and that's what it is. Same thing goes with the version contracts. So we have to have a different version of API, and once we have different version, there should be different version contracts as well for the contract testing. So we can just say, okay, there is only one contract test which is testing for one version. No, we need each version test available for the with the contract, and obviously integrating with the CI/CD. So we just don't want to run it locally. Obviously, it has to be run locally as soon as the code is developed and the feature is done, the refactoring is done, the bug is fixed. But more importantly, it should be part of the CI/CD pipeline. So if the change, whenever the build is whenever the build is running, whenever the PR is merged from a branch to the main branch, then it will run these test cases and make sure that nothing has changed. And obviously, if something has changed, we need to go and fix it. And it's a more of a caution that, okay, don't snapshot everything. Sometimes we tend to go overboard with just trying to snapshot everything. Once if we go, let's say, beyond certain point, it becomes useless, because we think of it as, okay, we have this snapshot, we just feel that it gives us a confidence, but that's not really true, as we know, because we have to make sure that whatever the key features, key endpoints, or key REST calls are the one which are which have a snapshot against it, and rest of them can be just a part of the integration testing. So it's not, again, testing is not a silver bullet, whether it's a unit testing, whether it is a snapshot testing, contract testing, or integration. But as a combination of all these tools, we get more confidence, and we can move faster with respect to delivering the feature what product care about. So we just have to use these tools wisely. So these are the some of the resources which I found that anyone can go and look into. Mostly it's a documentation, how to use these tools or these libraries, and look into that. So let's see if I can do a quick demo. IntelliJ. Yep. So I suppose everyone is still seeing my screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. So this is my base simple app which I created, and again, nothing fancy.
Let me see your.
Let me see your
slides.
slides, yeah.
Yeah,
So you're still seeing slide?
Yeah.
Oh, that is
You might
interesting.
only be presenting your application. Yeah.
Let me quickly change it to share. I thought I'm sharing the whole desktop, but anyway, I may have not been sharing.
Yeah, we see it.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so again, I just call it a book service, and this is a basic book management API. There is it's a Spring Boot app, which has a service which will query our database and give us the what books we have, a repository, a basic model. So what all we have, like basically ID, title, author, year published, pages, blah blah, the very basic things. And then the exceptions, GTO, controller, yeah, all as we typically see in any app. Most of the business logic is going to be either in a book service, Impl, or there will be, I'm sure, utility classes, and that's where we do all the data massaging and we figure out what to return eventually to the controller. So the fun part is our testing. So I mean, I do have a basic controller test and the integration test, but I'm not going to focus on them today. So let's start with the contract testing. Is it readable or should I increase the font?
Make it a little bit bigger, please.
Okay, so let me quickly do that. Not this.
Yeah, just gonna zoom. That works.
Is it better or?
Yes,
That's
thank
great.
you.
Okay. Okay, so now this is my contract test, and what I'm doing here is I'm obviously doing a basic setup that okay, it's a controller test and which takes the book service. So it does need a level of mocking. So I won't say that it's without any mock, but yeah, it does need some mock. But importantly, the test part. So what we are saying is that test get all books contract. So now when we call this, we should expect 200. There should be size greater than 0 because we don't expect our DB to be empty. There should be ID, title, author, year published, pages, print type, price. So that's what we expect. And similarly, the another test case, when we just query for one book, we expect more or less same thing. Now that in this case, I am mocking these two, that's why there is only 3 fields and not the rest of them. So we expect that only 3 fields are there. And yeah, request body is there. So now let me quickly run this. Okay, so obviously it works because I'm expecting everything, which is what it is. But now let's say we change our response and we don't want mm, pages to be there. So it should not be there because the contract is changed. So now let's see what happens with our test class. Wait, it should have failed that.
I think you need to change what the value is. So instead of commenting it out, just change it to no value.
Oh, yes, not null. Hmm. Wait, did I miss something? This is my not okay. Yeah, that's right. Should be null. Okay, yeah. So yeah, now we change the contract and we expect it to be null, but it's still coming up. So that's why it's saying that, okay, this is not expected. So that's why we have to go and look into the code that what changed, what should we do here. So, yep, that's yeah. Again, yeah. There's a we can just test each API. In this case, I'm only testing a few APIs, not a lot of them. So practically just 2 of them. One of them is yeah, get all, and another one is just one getting by one ID. So And similarly, snapshot test. So this is the snapshot test. So quickly, let's first run it and make sure it doesn't complain about anything. Okay, so let me again, these are the test cases which we have. So I'm mocking some of the objects and getting the response, and then we obviously are using approvals test, so approval to verify that this is mapping with the respected. Now I will come on to this scrubber later, that what is scrubbing here. So here, okay, why no, that is a test. Mhm. So for example, this is one of the snapshot it stores when I'm querying by a ID, that okay, what is the response looks like. It says, okay, this is what going to be ID, title, author, year, all those fields. Now, in let's say if some of the objects which are dynamic and we don't want to match them, or because we know that they will be changing in every response, that becomes problematic with the snapshot testing. So that's when the scrubbing comes in picture. So what it's doing is it's taking this JSON, and once we define that, okay, created at or updated at, these are a more of a DB values. They are not really business or the product attribute, but we still return them for any given reason. So anytime there is a change in the database, these values will be updated, but they should not they does not really impact the client behavior. So in that case, we are doing the scrubbing, and that's the JSON scrubber we have here. So it takes it just iterates over all the objects associated with that node, and anytime we have defined the field, it matches them. It will just we can define what I want to put in this case, I just put the scrub. So it will just scrub that from the final response. So if we look into the test class, here I'm saying that rather than taking directly the JSON response, take the JSON, run it through scrubber, and then we verify against it. So in that way, we are not worried about that if there are any failures. So let's say if I remove this JSON scrubber for now, and I just want to do it with a pretty JSON. This is a get all box. So let's see.
Will it flag if you have a missing field? Though,
Sorry, what was that?
if you have a missing field and what's
Uh-huh.
returned, whether or not, let's say you scrub it, but it doesn't exist, will it flag that that there's a missing field?
Yes, it will, because if the snapshot doesn't matches, then yes, it will. Because yeah, that's still like a diff, right? So it will say that one field is not available. Okay, now I'm confused with why it's not showing me the diff, because it was showing me diff before, and what changed with this? Because this used to show a nice window, that now the comparison window. Let's see, is it there? No. What changed? This is funny. Hmm. Assertion here, click to see the difference. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so it shows me that, okay, this created at is here. So now if we keep, now I can go and apply the change and say take this, but the problem will be that next time if I run the code, uh, it may change this value to some other time. So in that case, it will always have a outdated value. And that's the reason I have done this, added this scrubbing on top of the response which we are returning. So now let's say if we remove the one of the value which you're talking about, so print type, ebook, and should match. Where's my cover? It was here. I changed this, but and set pages to, let's say, rather than 250, this book has 500 pages. So something changed. It may have been the, let's say we added the new version of the, or new published, new new version of the API which refers to the latest edition, and then the number of pages are more. So it will complain about it that something is different. So here, okay, it says that, okay, these pages does not match. Well, this was scrubbed because I think we removed the scrubbing, but so, yep, these are the benefits of using Snapshot and the contract testing. I will upload this code into GitHub if anyone is interested in taking a look how they are built and how they can be achieved. Obviously, these are just about these two libraries, and there are few other libraries available for the same thing which can be achieved. So, let's see. Yeah.
Can you send Scott or Jim the slides? I think they'd be,
Scott.
or Scott the slides would be very helpful.
Yeah,
Especially
sure.
the
Definitely
links.
do that. Yep.
Send me the slides and the GitHub link, and I'll put it on our website.
Yep, sure, definitely do that. Yep. And last but not least, yeah, thank you so much for your time to listen about this testing strategies. And I don't know how many of you were already familiar, but to me, it was a lifesaver. And working with the legacy systems has helped me learn a lot, and also making changes gave me more confidence with the help of these tools. I work for SiriusXM, so anyone interested in music, yeah, I or canceling in a subscription, I cannot help you with that, but yeah, definitely I can help you with the what to listen. And there is my LinkedIn profile if anyone wants to connect.
Very cool.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Well,
Thank you.
so we didn't have anybody else join us online, so it'll be whoever's here. Is anybody interested in the JetBrains license?
I have an all products back.
Everybody's got that. Did either of you guys online, are you all interested in a JetBrains license
Is it for IntelliJ?
Yeah.
for IntelliJ? So 1-year license to IntelliJ.
I don't work actually. I mean, on my office laptop, I have for Ultimate this one. I don't use much, so I think I'm fine. Yeah.
Bruno, would you like a 1-year license to JetBrains product?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Bruno wins, hooray.
Hey.
All right, is anybody interested in a 1-year license to the sonograph?
I just got one.
You just got it?
What times?
Okay. Bhupendra, would you like a license to sonograph?
Sure. I'm sure I can use it.
It's a cool app.
Yeah.
Nice.
Even the free version I used several years ago. It's helpful.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Which is this one? I think I don't know it.
It's a tool it'll look at your project and basically show you the relationship between all your classes in a graphical form and
Oh, no.
help you to whatever, sort through it and,
Yep.
and clean it up some. What about the
the Webucator license. Anybody want a free Webucator class?
Anybody want to learn something?
So I don't even know what is that.
It's an
Webucator,
online training provider.
yeah, it's an online training course place, and basically you get one class from them.
Think I'll pass.
Okay,
Same.
so no Webucator this month.
Okay.
Alrighty then. Well, and I got their email addresses, so I'll get that sorted out.
Thank you so
And,
much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. I
Appreciate it.
really
You're great.
appreciate you
Thank you.
sharing with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And I forgot to put a slide for next month, but I'll get that
Yes.
pushed out right away.
Push it out.
What, do you know what it is?
Let me look it up real quick here. You go to Eventbrite. No, it's not in Eventbrite. I would have it here in my speakers. So we're looking at, that's not that one. Well, then again, what do we have? July is, Michael Carducci is coming in July. So this will be cool. July 24th.
is
So
he
it's going to be a
speaking on?
Thursday, I believe. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is he speaking on?
Architecture. He just released a new book on architecture, and he'll be talking to us about that. I beg your pardon?
Is he going to be here in person?
He will be here in person.
Wow.
Was he just here? as
He
well?
was here
A couple months
about
ago?
8 months ago.
Yeah.
It was last year
Time flies.
sometime.
And he's an amazing speaker. He keeps his
Yes.
audience entertained. I think he's still a musician, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
he's,
good speaker.
yeah, he'll do some good card tricks too. So it'll be fun.
Yeah.
All righty then. So we'll look forward to seeing you. And thanks again, guys. And
Thank you, it's great.
everybody have
Fantastic. Thank you.
a great evening.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll
thank
talk to
you.
y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.